All right, good evening. The time is 6:04 p.m. It is Monday, July 17th, 2023. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Argyle ISD Board of Trustees. This time we'll determine if a quorum is present.
Leona McDade, present.
Josh Western, present.
Richie Effenbaugh, present.
Leanne Arthur, present.
Matt Slayton, present.
Craig Hawksworth, present.
And I, Sam Slayton, present. We do have a quorum established. The time is 6:05 p.m. We will adjourn to executive session. All right, good evening. We are back from executive session. The time is 7:05 p.m. At this time, we'll have Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, this time we'll have a moment of silence. All right, thank you. Okay, we did not have anyone sign up tonight. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. We'll go to the consent agenda real quick. If you could pull up donations for me, please. All right, the July 2023 donations from AEBC, donation number 21, $8,993 for camera upgrade and defensive shoot H goal 23 from AEBC. Donation number 22, $7,753.20. High school boys cross country for miscellaneous supplies. Total July donation, $16,746.20. Does anyone have any questions on any of the consent items presented? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Matthew Slayton, motion to approve. Do I have a second? And Mrs. Leanne Artho with second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, we're gonna go to Liz with your budget review. Mr. Cohen is currently at the town. They required his attendance, so we may have to go back to him.
Okay. As you know, in your monthly updates for next year, we just kind of go over the highlights of anything that's changed, and there has been a little bit change with our tax relief bill that went in. So I'm going to tell you a few times that I may not quite know just yet what the impact of that is. Just a reminder where we're at in the process. This is our July update. In just a few days, we should have our certified values from the appraisal district, and then we're scheduled for the 21st now officially with that consent agenda item to have our public hearing and adopt our budget and tax rate. Again, just your key factors, the legislative year, again, every other year, that's a key factor. Our enrollment and attendance, the taxable assessed property values, the tax rate, for us, formula transition grant, and the ESSER funding cliff. Okay, the special session number 2 just passed a property tax relief package. That included some additional M&O tax compression, I believe as much as 10.7 cents. We're still waiting on the formulas to figure out exactly how much of that will apply to us for this year. It increases the homestead exemption to $100,000. There's also a 20% appraisal cap on non-homestead residential and commercial properties valued less than $5 million. I believe that one has a 2-year limit on that and has to be renewed. And then it does contain some hold harmless provisions for those M&O and INS items. On the INS, I believe the wording that got included, because there was a little bit of discussion on that, was for anything that has been authorized. So even if we haven't sold the bonds, if it had been authorized. So that should cover us on anything under the 2022 bond sales and bond authorization. Anything beyond that, I do not believe there's any hold harmless. So if we come forward with another bond election in any future year, those authorizations would not be included in that hold harmless, I believe, under the current language. We're still getting some details out.
the data points to reassociate how much we have it under cap, right?
So when we received the values on the 25th, I believe Denton County is actually working on the reduction there, or the increase in the homestead exemption to give us a reduction in taxable values, and that'll give us an idea of how that affects our growth and what that'll do for the future. But that's still, it's a pretty big work in process since it just happened and we're getting close to our values. But I did wanted to point that out. Again, we're getting more information each day, a little bit more details, but I do believe that the INS hold harmless covered anything that was already authorized. Just a reminder, the basic allotment has not been increased since 2019. I do believe there's a lot of talk about an October special session now. And so hopefully there'll be some things there for the funding formula possibly. Enrollment and attendance, just as a reminder, what we've talked about since our first budget workshop and what we discussed in our second budget workshop was that we took another look at our enrollment projections, and again that in turn gets us to our ADA. We've gone with a more conservative outlook after talking with the demographer and listening to him between what originally was the low and high, which now he's saying the low is the midpoint. So we've kind of pulled that back down, and that has an effect on our overall budget of bringing us down into not as optimistic of an outlook for next year. Just a reminder, I always want to plug this in there, our revenues are dependent on our estimated ADA. So if we miss that ADA estimate, that affects our revenues for next year. So it'll either be higher or lower. Typically we do amend that throughout the year though. Taxable assessed value, just a reminder, we were at a 34% increase when those original estimates came out at the end of April. DCAD has sent a notice out that they are working on getting the information out, getting the certifieds out on the 25th, and getting that information out to the school districts with the new homestead exemption amounts in there. They're still aiming for July 25th. I know we had talked about in the past, 2 of the past 3 years, they had been late on those values, and they feel like they're in a good place to give those values on time this year, even with the new information that they have to put out. This is a chart that will probably be changed, of course, when we get some information with the homestead exemption. I was working on this before the new tax relief bill went in, and what I was working on is at the 34%, as we talked about, there's a lot more protests now and all of that. So if you look at historical, we would come down to about 30 to 31% increase, but with the number of protests that have come in, I believe we'd go down to about 27%. So that's what this chart reflects. Of course, those numbers are all going to change when we get that new homestead exemption in there. Tax rate information. Again, there's some new compression on Senate Bill 2. We still have our due dates of August 1st, and then TEA gives us back our MCR before the 5th. Our INS rate will remain at 50 cents. Previously, what we had talked about is an 8 cents decrease on the M&O of compression, and that should be significantly more now. We're just waiting on the numbers to tell you exactly how much more. So we'll work on that, and we're waiting for those formulas to come out to know how it affects us. So hopefully we'll have a little bit better information. For our taxpayers, it's great information coming out. Just as a reminder, formula transition grant, it ends in 24-25. I know this has been quite a bit of discussion of us. Mr. Westrom has actually had quite a bit of discussion with our representatives lately and getting out that information, and we've got some meetings set up to try and help get the information out before the special sessions come about. Just a reminder on the budget outlook, we've turned to more of a conservative revenue estimate. We've got additional staffing that we're looking at including for next year. All of that came out of our budget workshops. We did approve the increase to the compensation plan, and again, we're continuing to monitor it for the legislative sessions and if there will be additional special sessions. One other thing that has come up in the really end of last week, and still working on it today, that could affect this as well, is our custodial contract is back in negotiation stage. Y'all know we took out an RFP. Y'all approved the contract back in June. It was to start September 1st. That vendor has withdrawn their bid, and they said they cannot meet the bid that they put in, so we are in negotiation right now on that, and we'll have to bring that back to you. But we're looking at potentially another $150,000 on that department.
Was there a second bid to review?
There
From
there
other
was.
companies?
We're in negotiations with a second company right now.
Okay.
Kind of to look through our options on that, where to go to this. We could negotiate with vendor number 2. We could go back and do another RFP, or we could consider bringing it in-house. And we've run the numbers on doing this in-house, and it's very comparable to the vendors. All of it's a timing issue at this point. We're looking at starting with a new company September 1st. So there may be some further discussion with y'all at that pretty quickly.
Are there any of these that we can do through co-ops, buy board, or any place like that, without having to go back to RFP, but go back out and get more bids?
So I'm aware of some temporary ones under co-op. I don't know. I'd have to go back and research a little more to find out if there's an actual permanent solution under cooperatives and look at that. We did, under our bid, we received quite a few vendors' replies, and it's very disheartening that that first vendor pulled out.
Did they give you more insight as to what was driving
They
it?
did. So in their bid documents, one of the things they have to turn in is the number of FTEs that they would staff our buildings with. They had a very high number of FTEs. We actually went into negotiations with them to see if they could reduce that to reduce the price. They said, no, we need that many people. We've already done the study. We said, okay. Then all of a sudden it was, we're going to reduce that by 11 with no reduction in price. And so we went into negotiations again. And then all of a sudden it was, now they cannot meet our expectation of staffing, even at the reduced number. So they have withdrawn.
They want it out.
They want it out.
So is there any repercussions on them for?
There's a bid
breaking the
bond that we're going to
contract?
look into.
Okay.
I've never filed on a bid bond before, but this may be a first. So.
I know this is frustrating, but I appreciate the effort. I would just say, if we can find, if the costs are similar in-house versus vendor, you know, because that way you have a little more accountability on them and also more flexibility.
Well, Mr. Ledford was able to talk with one of the companies today. We've got some information going back and forth, and think that we have a plan. It's just a timing issue. So just wanted you to be aware of that, because that is a significant increase for our budget. We talked about it previously, and I'd already given you some numbers, so I wanted you aware of the fact that that will go up in what we're doing. All right, and then just a reminder of where we're at on our fund balance, and we've had many discussions on our fund balance in the 25% and possibly going up and down just a little bit. So those are the biggest changes and since the last time we talked. And of course, we'll have a final budget come August. We'll have a final tax rate, hopefully with some guidance. The only thing that could happen in there is if we're still working on that guidance on the tax rate, it could be September before we propose a tax rate, but we prefer to do that in August if possible.
Is on the proposed October special session, is it just rumor that you're hearing basic student allotment is going to be discussed, or is that just a hope?
That is some rumor that I've heard. I don't have that that I have seen in actual writing yet that I could tell you anymore. It could be out there, and I just haven't seen that yet. But that's the rumors that I've heard.
I mean, I've had conversations about it, and my understanding is they're going to come back and call something, but it's going to be mostly about school choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the special session is going to be all about. It's going to dominate the day, and then somewhere in the discussion, you know, they may talk about allotments or.
It'll be a negotiation point. We'll try to get them to open the door to vouchers, and they'll increase your allotment.
And they may give a teacher
For a
raise in
period of
there
time.
somewhere or something like that. But right now, it's all about school choice, because it's what some of them, I guess the governor, it's important to the governor.
That's correct.
Is the October, and wasn't there already one for September called too?
Originally, we had heard rumors about September, and now I'm hearing that it may be October.
Okay. So it's not additional, it's the same one. They just haven't
I believe
picked
so.
where, okay.
And I haven't seen it actually called yet. It could, if it has, I haven't read it yet. Just some rumors out there. I do expect something though at some point this fall for special session 3. I believe the priority was the tax relief package, which now that that's ready to go, they're wanting to move on to another special session. So, all right.
So the 10-cent tax compression, have they put out anything as to where that's going to be balanced out at all?
There's a floor and a ceiling on that. What I don't have yet is a calculation to figure out where we'll fall in that for this first year, because every year is a little bit different. But I do believe we'll see some of it this first year. We were already going to see 8 cents is what I was calculating with an estimate of the taxable assessed values. That does play a role in where that falls. So we do have to wait on those certified values to make sure exactly where we're at. But with that, in the next few days, I expect to see the calculation of how we can determine where we would be at on the new compression.
Okay, but are they gonna make up what we lose in another way?
Yes, that one will be held harmless. So it will be, we'd lose local funding and we would gain state funding in its place.
Okay, same like as usual?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you,
Any other questions? All right, thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Mr. Cohen's still not here.
No, he's not.
Floor
Okay.
is yours.
All right. Good evening. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the amazing welcome I have received today in this district. From the moment I walked through the front doors this morning, this building was waiting on me with open arms. So just want to say thank you again. And then this evening's community meet and greet was phenomenal. We had lots of students and all ages and parents and community members out, and so it was very warm and welcoming. So just thank you everyone that was able to make it, and if you weren't able to make it, I look forward to meeting you soon. So again, just thank you for all of that. Some celebrations that I have the honor of learning more about over the last couple of weeks. Our middle school honor wins advanced to state. So a big congratulations to the Argyle Middle School honor wins. The honor wins recordings were recently in the TMEA, which is the Texas Music Educators Association honor band process, selected as one of 3 bands from the area that advanced to state preliminary. So we're looking forward to congratulations on that. It's also the first time since 2005 that an Argyle Middle School band has advanced to state in that competition. So what an honor that is. We're very proud of these talented students, and obviously with our director, Mr. Gutik. So congratulations to the middle school honor wins. We also want to celebrate, as I believe everyone is probably aware, Argyle High School wins the Class 5A UIL Lone Star Cup. That became official just at the very end of June, I believe on Friday, June 30th. So Argyle High School won the Lone Star Cup in 5A. So just congratulations to all Eagles. I know that's a very, very proud moment for this district, and so congratulations on that. Just a few notes about that. First year in Class 5A, and the Lone Star Cup came to Argyle High School, so that's a wonderful thing there. And then Argyle became the first school in history in Lone Star Cup to win. The first year they moved into a larger classification, and currently ties now with Highland Park for the most Lone Star Cup. So congratulations to everyone. I know that is a wonderful right to have. And just a few other things. It's hard to believe, but UIL Fall Sports and Marching Band is kicking off in 2 weeks. So July 31st, we will be kicking off the fall activities, which is extremely hard to believe, but it is almost here, and we are excited for that. I saw many of the student athletes and some of the band and cheer out here this evening for the meet and greet, and it was great to see them, and we're looking forward to seeing them soon in their competition areas. We also have the Eagle Bash back to school event that's coming up August 5th, which is a Saturday morning from 9 to 12. It will be held over here at Argyle High School. It will be a fun and engaging event for this community. We look forward to a way for students and families to connect with campuses, district, and department staff. So those families that are new to the district, but also current Argyle families are welcome to attend. So we'll be over there from 9 to 12 inside the high school cafeteria. We will be in the AC, so no worries there, and in the auditorium foyer. And we'll have food, giveaways, and some important back-to-school information. So please come out and join us for the Eagle Bash on August 5th. A few other key dates. We have New Eagle Academy at Argyle High School, expecting about 80 new employees. So we're looking forward to that. And August 2nd through the 4th, and then also on the 7th. We will kick off all staff returning August 8th with our employee convocation. And then August 14th is a District Day of Learning. So we look forward to our curriculum team working through District Day of Learning with our staff. It's a professional development opportunity for our teachers. And then we have a few new assistant principals I want to celebrate and recognize. Excited to announce a new member to the Argyle High School leadership team. That's Laura Nelson. She's joining Argyle High School as the newest assistant principal. Laura has been the last 10 years at Forestwood Middle School in Louisville. And she replaces Taylor Gilbreth, who has joined the 6th grade center team as an assistant principal. And then earlier this summer, Katie Hayden was hired as the assistant principal at Argyle South. She joins fellow assistant principal Kristen Haynes as on that campus leadership team. and Ms. Hayden previously served as a behavior specialist in Northwest ISD. So wonderful additions to the Eagle family. So thank you and congratulations. And then really the last thing, I'd like to share something for the community to look forward to. We are going to be kicking off Eagle Ambassador opportunity in the coming weeks. This will be kind of like a year-long, it goes along with the school year opportunity for a community group, open to anyone in the community that wants to come learn behind the scenes experiences of all things Argyle. So it helps in building partnerships, it helps in building collaborative relationships, it helps with open dialogue, and really the purpose of it is to create a monthly commitment, and our vision is to develop the most highly informed community group in the state of Texas. And so we want you to partner with us, and we meet monthly, and then we have a graduation ceremony in April, and that's really creates a group of community ambassadors. So we're looking forward to kicking that off, so watch social media and additional emails coming from the district, and it will be open to anyone that wants to join. So I believe that's all I have tonight.
All right. Thank you, Dr.
You're welcome.
All right, Jeff is almost here, but we'll go ahead and move to action, and since you're waiting.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, man.
Well done.
you should still go.
Do you want a breather or you want to go on?
Just in time.
He was waiting, Amy. How long has he been standing there?
It's 0. I just walked in the building. All right, construction update. And it's all good news from the town, so don't worry about that. On our 2017 projects, our 6th grade center renovation, we're still making a lot of progress. We're still not fully there, but it's coming together really well right now. They usually do wrap up the last couple of weeks anyway. So here on the left is a picture of the conference room at the 100 building, as we're going to call it, of the 6th grade center. That's the original elementary school. So that's their new conference room, new furniture in it. On the right is a photograph of the art room. We've got the new floor installed, waxed, the new cabinets are installed. So it's ready for furniture. Here's a couple of shots of our hallway updates. So it got new floor, new paint, new tack boards down the hallways, all 4 hallways. And these pictures on the left, this is from our cafeteria looking to our kitchen, so you can see the new serving line has been set in place. It's not complete. They've still got a lot of assembly to do, but it's already got tile on the front, which it doesn't in this photo. And on the right is just a picture of one of the typical classrooms. Again, new flooring, it's been waxed, it's ready for furniture, and you can see on the left in that photo, maintenance is already moving boxes in from the 377 campus. And then here I've got one photo from the 200 building, which is the old administration side of it. So this is just a view looking down the hallway, actually towards the front. So I'm roughly in this shot, I'm at the end of the boardroom past the original door, so a little further in looking back towards the front. So we've got new white paint on the walls. You can see the gray trim, and I believe it'll be a gray paint down low between the trim there. So other activities that we've got going on currently is installation of doors and hardware. We're doing floor prep for installing the new VCT floors in this building. Ceiling grid is going back in the front where the DAEP is. We had to take all of that ceiling out in order to install the new fire sprinkler system. So that grid is back in. They're doing tape bed and painting throughout, mostly just painting since it's a lot of CMU walls in that building. Installation of all our electrical panels, I believe they are all on site now. We had some deliveries Friday and today. So electricians are about to start working a lot of overtime, and they are working on installation of our acoustical treatments in our band areas, which consists of a 2-inch felt material floor to ceiling, and then down low we've covered that with an acoustic wood panel just to protect the felt. So it gets a little more acoustic treatment at the bottom, but also protection with that wood product.
So is band gonna be down that hallway as well?
Band will be down that hallway.
Down.
They've got what was the old boardroom,
Okay.
and then they have an alcove entrance, if you will. So you turn in off the hallway, and then you have a door left and a door right. for 4 different rooms. So the boardroom is one of the rooms, the biggest space. And then they have an instrument storage room, which can also double as a smaller ensemble room. We went ahead and did the acoustic treatment in it as well as the storage lockers. And then they have 2 rooms on the other side in the same scenario. One of them was Greg Royer's old office, if you're familiar with where that was, across from the boardroom. And the next room on down, which was conference room, I think. It's been so long since I've seen it in that layout, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was a conference room.
So they're making progress there.
Will there be classrooms next year in this? hallway?
The science classrooms are in this building, so I believe they have slated the science. I think it's 3 teachers, and they would be in this building. They'll be at the far west end, so up the ramp is where those 4 science rooms are, and then band. So I think that's the only 2 currently scheduled activities, classes to be in that, other than the gym up front for athletics and PE.
So there'll be some empty classroom space in that wing.
There should be some empty space in between the band and science, and I think we even have a few empty rooms in the 100 building
Okay,
on this first year anyway.
okay.
So, and maintenance is going to be in one of those for a little while still. So,
So Jeff, in the room that's getting acoustical treatments and installations, again, we still have the loudest, most violent air conditioner in the district.
that will stay the same. Although maybe you'll hear it a lot less with all the acoustic treatment in the room.
No. We can hear it turning on here.
Like an airplane.
Yeah.
So we'll test it out.
Okay.
Any other questions on 6th grade renovation?
I
Okay.
think it looks great.
Our transportation building renovation, again, due to the nature, not a lot of picture-worthy opportunities, so I really haven't updated any pictures here. But I went ahead and listed some of the activities that we have currently ongoing over there. So they're working on floor preparation. Tape bed and painting is essentially done, ready for ceramic tile installation in the bathrooms. So that will be starting. Our overhead doors are coming in next week for installation. So we've got 2 new overhead doors going in that building. So you'll see 5 overhead doors. When it's done, we left the 2 original where we turned that into a meeting space. We went ahead and left the doors just to keep the look consistent, because if we took them out and replaced it with newer metal, it would obviously be not part of the original. So we felt we'd just close the doors, seal them shut, and that way from the outside the building still looks decent and original. We've got ceiling grid installation will be beginning soon, and just wrapping up the MEP trim out, finish out. As ceiling grid goes in, they'll start dropping lights and grills for duct, those kind of things. Just a couple more photos. Again, you've seen these photos in the last report anyway, but I went ahead and left them in. Maintenance building, kind of the same scenario. I think I have 1 new photo in here, but these photos you've seen before. So here's the new photo. This is the west wall of that building. We finally got everything worked out on the structure that we had to add, so we decided to take the entire skin off. And so they've gone back with the structural metal studs, and it's currently still like this, probably another week, and then that sheeting will go back on. And this is because when they built this building originally, this is half of a metal building. There was an alternate for the other half, and I'm sure money-wise was not affordable at the time. And so they just didn't properly structure this wall the way they left it when we opened that up.
Is this where the fire lane's going?
The fire lane, in the foreground, you can see a little bit of the gravel road. So to your right
Okay.
is where the fire lane will go on around that building, yes. So here they're currently tape bedded out on the drywall as far as they can go till they close up the wall. Then they'll finish all the connecting walls. They are working on the new underground sewer line, underground electrical service to this building and to the warehouse. It'll have its own service, and we'll take that warehouse off of the intermediate school. Working on fire sprinkler installation. Tape bed and painting is going to finish once they put the skin back on the building, and then we've got our new overhead doors, 2 of them I believe going on this building that'll be coming in. Any questions there? These will probably neither one of them be complete for the start of school. But maintenance is okay to stay where they're at. We've talked to Mrs. Williams about that. And transportation will stay in the smaller field house where they're at in that office space. I think we'll probably be able to move in by the end of the month, end of August. Okay. Elementary 4, these are just the renderings. I just left them in there. So today what I've got for you is aerials. I know I promised you updated aerials, but they didn't fly, so I'm sorry I don't have those. These are from 2 weeks ago, so you can see them starting to rough out the building pad. The darker line you see in the dirt, that's actually the outline of the building as they're over excavating that dirt to moisture condition it and put it back in place. So it's the same shot, 3 different angles that you're looking at.
There's lots of piles of dirt there today.
There are lots of piles of dirt. There's a few giant piles of rocks and boulders. Lots of activity going on, and we should see pier steel show up, I believe, next week, and possibly within 2 weeks we'll be drilling piers out there. So we're going to continue to move forward. And then in this shot off to the right is the additional acreage that we're not really touching that's also part of the property. You can just barely see the corner of that gas well site there. I think that's that acoustic sound fence that they had up when they were drilling, which is now gone.
Is that the road that we have to expand on the left-hand side?
On the left-hand side, that is. You can see half of it, the eastern half of it, in place, and then we're going to build the median in 2 lanes on our side to finish that out. Up to the dirt road you see at the bottom of the photo, which is just an access road for some drilling sites back in there. So from that point to the north is the responsibility of the Ridge and their developers and builders, and I don't yet have a timeline on them actually finishing that out to
So it's just
Robeson.
going to dead end at our property line.
I think right now it'll dead end. I don't think they're going to have any of it constructed through by the time we would open next year.
And that would be ultimately, if they do bring that through, they'll bring it up to Robeson Ranch.
It's supposed to go to Robeson Ranch.
Okay.
I don't think that will change.
So where they're at right now, is that where they're expecting to be, or are they behind or ahead?
Pogue.
Yes.
They are right on the schedule that we've looked at. Of course, this is the tight schedule with no room for errors and much weather and things of that nature. But this is essentially the time frame we did have it south. They started about June on that one, and we moved in August. So unless there's some strange curveball that comes at us, we're primed to make this happen and open right now. And of course, by the end of the year, really we have to make a decision. Are we going to make it or are we not? Because we've got to start making an alternate plan if we think there's a possibility we won't. So the goal that we had set a couple of months back was by the end of the year making that decision. Are we going to say move forward with trying to procure portables and figure out that plan and get all that permitted? You'll have to install electrical and water, possibly fire alarm, PA. There's a lot, ramps and decks that go with that. So it's not just a quick turnaround if that's the direction we decide we have to go. But by then we should have a real good idea if we're going to be able to maintain this pace.
We've done portables.
Yeah, well,
It's
I
not-
don't want to do
It's not
portables.
plug and play.
Oh, no.
It's not easy.
It is not. That's why we've kind of set that deadline of end of the year, because we need that time to make that happen and pull that together.
And not that that's the goal, but I would assume lead time on portables is difficult.
There is a lead time. I don't know what it is. If you want to know, Tommy might know, but I think it's several months still, even these days, to get portables.
Because I know last
3 months.
time, when we had portables last time, we were fortunate enough to have them gifted by Northwest ISD.
Yes.
Have we called them?
And they need too many portables right now, so there is no gift
Yeah.
coming there. We've already
And
explored that.
by gifting, it still costs like $500,000. but
Yes.
It's still gifting.
No
We
free
didn't
gift.
actually pay for the portable building, right?
Right.
Correct.
We just paid for the water and the electricity and the moving, and so.
Yep. It's not a cheap prospect. So here, this is our stadium and indoor activity. This is the same site plan that you saw last month. We have had, I think, 2 meetings since then. We've got another one scheduled in the next, I think next Monday, actually. We do have some updates that we have made to both the site plan and the press box plan, and I'll have that for you at next board meeting. And I hope to go ahead and be scheduling a preliminary meeting with Town of Flower Mound to start reviewing what we've got on paper, to start getting some feedback, and will the parking that we've got on the site be sufficient? Do we have to connect these 2 drives down at the south to get fully around the stadium for emergency access? Those kind of questions are what we don't want to run into down the road as a surprise. So hopefully we can set up that early meeting. We've had one, but we didn't have a plan at that time, but like to show this to them and get some feedback, try to get that early, because that is the first step, is getting that development permit from them before they even allow us to submit for a building permit.
And that takes a while.
That takes a while. There will be several rounds of comments. Again, same that was in here last month. This is our same rendering of that press box. One question that came up at our BLC meeting was about visibility with the coaches being on the first level and being able to see if people were standing. So what you see here, that first level of the press box is about 5 feet elevated above the deck where people might stand in front of it to watch the game. So they're already elevated 5 feet. So there should not be any sightline issues with that.
And we talked about the upstairs too.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've talked to him, and
It's on your
he
radar.
said they run through that exercise on sight lines in those upper, on the upper floor, and the visibility of those seats. And so we will keep that on the radar, make sure we analyze that before we set everything in stone and go so far that we can't really change it without a lot of effort. Again, indoor activity center, we've already moved the piece on the left, which is a visitor locker room, some storage, and just some maintenance and support spaces. That's moved down to the south, to the bottom of this. We're going to have overhead doors and fans for ventilation. I think it's doors down low, fans up high to kind of draw that through and up, and hopefully get some of the noise above. But I know there's been a lot of improvements in fans and the noise they make since we built the last one, so these should be a lot quieter. If any of you have been in there, it's very hard to hear when they run. On the middle school, elementary school site, again, I haven't got these drawings updated, but we've had at least one meeting since last board meeting. So we're starting to develop this plan a little bit further. And I'll have some traffic flow slides in here for you next time, so you can see what we're planning as far as bus traffic, parent traffic, and how that would work with both schools, elementary and middle. The same floor plan, although we have now started to actually identify all the little rooms you see here, laying out doors. So we've actually got a lot of development that's happened, and we've got some tweaks that we're making now. We had our kickoff meeting with the nutrition department to talk about their needs, equipment, how many serving lines, and so we're working on that layout currently to see if we can take all those needs and fit it in the box we have, essentially, which is probably not big enough, but we're going to see what we can do and bring them back a few options to look at. Moving on.
When are we anticipating groundbreaking on that middle school?
I would anticipate that we're looking at start of construction probably January to March timeframe. And I believe the same on the stadium and indoor activity center. That's where we think we're going to hit, is first quarter of the year, to get those projects actually going on the ground. On our miscellaneous projects, our Hilltop Playground. So here I've updated it. You have one rendering and one photograph. So we now have a playground in place. We don't have our shade structures. We don't have our port in place, but we have the playground. So this is the older kids' playground in the back, and we've incorporated the existing dome climber, and I don't know what they call the other piece that was out there, but we've incorporated that, and so our new surface will go around that as well as all of this new equipment in the photograph. This one is our lower grades, younger kids playground. And here, we're just going to tie in. We eliminated the fence. If anyone has been back there used to be a fence and a little bridge that you had to walk across to get in there because it was elevated. So we've taken all that down. And so now our poured in place will just flush with the concrete sidewalk in there, so we won't have to go over any ramps or steps or anything like that to get access to this playground. They will start working on the concrete elements next week, which is some borders and sidewalks for access on one of them, followed by shade structures going in end of the month, and then the pour in place. And here, our orchestra shell, I still don't have any update on that. Late August, I'm still hopeful, but it's kind of getting close to that for them to still not be able to tell me, so I'm calling them every other day. On the Verkada cameras and access control, everything has been changed out other than construction areas, but they are moving into those in maintenance, transportation, intermediate. They're starting to pull cable for the new doors that we've added on access control. Equipment is already in district, so it's sitting here in our building, ready to go. So there should not be any issues bringing that online before the start of school. In land acquisition, I don't have any updates there. I know Dave was looking at some properties. I need to reach out to him and see if he's found out any information for us there. And then I'm waiting on some feedback from our engineer on the first ranch potential. I know I've discussed it with them a few times and got a few verbal comments. Engineer's on vacation this week, so I'm not getting anything from him until next week. So we'll continue to pursue that. That is all I have for you tonight. Are there any questions on any of that we didn't cover?
No. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John.
Oh, and they did approve our site plan for the intermediate school, so we can proceed with the fire lane project. And between the P&Z meeting and the council meeting tonight, staff decided that we did not have to ask for a variance because that was not the intent of it, and so there was no variance. So we're not planting all the trees and we're not building the wall, and so went very well.
Good. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, Amy,
All right.
you waited.
Okay, so every year we complete what's called the Paid Lunch Equity Tool, which is published by U.S. Department of Agriculture, and it's just designed to ensure that our paid lunches are equitable for the reimbursement that we're getting for free lunches. So this year, when I completed it, it recommended $3.56 as our lunch price for this is for elementary, of course. Those are the ones that are actually on the National School Lunch Program. So I'm recommending that we round that up to $3.60. I like to round up every year just so we're never playing catch up when the next year comes around. So that's just adding 10 cents to lunch and also 10 cents to breakfast. And that is my recommendation for meal prices.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 9A as presented.
So moved.
Dr. McDade, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second?
Mr. Matthew Slayton, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Angel, Tommy, Alfred,
Anybody
anybody?
who wants it.
Good evening, y'all. A little warm, huh? It's better than December, that's for sure, as far as I'm concerned. Come and talk to you about 4 school buses. As all these campuses that are talking about building, we need to get the kids to these campuses. The time frame to build buses right now is about 1 year lead time. So anything we order today, we probably will see this time next summer. So we're trying to come up with the buses to have ready to serve that new elementary school. Asking for 3 general ed buses and 1 special needs bus. We're going with a Thomas-built bus. It's a little bit larger than the Bluebird bus by a few passengers, and it's just a better bus overall.
So is there any consideration in that the elementary 4 is going to be within there won't be a high percentage needing bus to elementary 4?
Correct.
So has that been considered at all as far as our bus needs?
It has, and we're looking at the overall numbers throughout the whole district. It may not be them just for there, but we need them in other parts of the district.
Okay.
We will have an elementary group of kids, or special needs group of kids there. Each campus has them, and the student that lives next door to Hilltop will probably attend South Elementary. It's just the way it works with our special needs programs. The stuff that's there, the programs that are there for them, is not that close to their home campus. Some of the other parents may balk, and things we talk about in the future, of the walk distance to the new elementary school from the Ridge. It's within 2 miles, however, they may not feel it's a safe passage. So there'll be discussions they'll want to have with you, wanting to add bus service to those areas that they do have now since they're going to South Elementary. So we're just trying to keep ahead of everything, so we're not trying to play catch up, because you can't just go buy a bus tomorrow and have it delivered in a month.
Does this allow us to retire any of the aging fleet? I know in the past you've given us breakdown, I think once a year on your plan.
Right. At this time, I don't see us retiring anything aging. Our average age of fleet is 8 years old right now. We've done very well at keeping up. We do have a few buses that are beyond that, quite beyond that. But with the grants that work, they want to get rid of a bus to give you a grant bus, and everything's pushed toward electric.
Any idea the difference in cost of electric bus versus diesel?
Yeah, electric bus is probably $400,000 to $500,000.
Versus 150?
Yeah. And then
Plus charging.
Plus you got to set up the charging station.
charging stations, and then the batteries, 7 years maybe, and you have another $100,000 worth of batteries in the bus. So, and with our district and any type of deals we do, the range isn't there. Everything's electric, so you run a heater in the wintertime, you're lucky to get 70, 80 miles on a charge. So for every electric bus you buy, you probably want to buy a diesel bus to get them to Fort Worth Zoo and back, and then run routes morning and afternoon.
So this is obviously without a grant.
This is without a grant, that's correct.
Out of pocket.
That's
but
correct.
You're saying grants are going more toward electric.
Everything I've looked at is replacement and replaced with electric.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 9B as presented.
Motion to approve action item 9B.
All right, Mr. Western, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Oxford, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I got a couple of things here. The first one that we have here is AC units for Hilltop. There's actually 7 units for that building. We have replaced 4 of them. We still have 3 that are original from 2003. And we are trying to get those switched over. Right now they are AONs. We have 2 50-ton units, and we have one, it's a 40-ton unit. We are trying to go, Carrier did give us a little lower bid. Macmillan James gave us a little lower bid, but they are going to be providing Carrier units. As you guys might know, we have had a lot of issues with Carrier units, as in getting parts. I don't know if y'all remember here, we had one here, blower motor, I believe. It took us about 3 months to even get. We have at the high school one particular one that it's been 2 years. We're still waiting on a part. This is my AC supervisor here. I asked him to come with me in case there were some questions. He was just telling me today that it looks like we might be able to get that part now. And we do have another classroom class as well that's got the same issue as that. I think it went down like 3 months before school started. So that's the thing. AONs would be like for like, basically replace it with one with the other. The Carrier units are larger. I think that will be a problem
because of the space that's up there. There's limited space for it. Also, Texas Air, they're also providing some training for the technicians to learn those units. That's 6 training classes. That's about a $6,000 value that's about what it comes out to be. Carrier doesn't provide anything. Another thing too with Texas Air, we do have a representative that's always hands-on with us. He's actually local here on the Metroplex. We never have any problems with him getting parts with any Aeons. As I put on there, Carrier's 24 to 52 weeks out, and that's on a good day. I mean, like I said, we still have ones, 2 years. The Carriers, from maybe that day to 3 weeks out. So that's the thing with Hilltop, being that Hilltop is, those units run the whole hallways. Now you're looking, if one goes down, it's affecting 24 classrooms. Here, at least at the high school, we might be able to put a portable in the classroom. Here, we would have to, I don't know how that would work, putting 24 portables in the classrooms if a unit goes down.
So have the sales reps indicated any expectations on energy efficiency with the newer models versus the 2003? Could we save some money on electricity, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as technology comes, they always say that technology, they're getting better at technology. One of the things too, Aeon is a higher end AC unit. They are a lot better efficient than most other ones, for sure, better than Carrier. That's why they're basically like the Cadillac of AC units. That's why they're a little bit higher. And yes, they are a little bit more efficient than Carrier.
One other note, when we looked at this on our capital projects discussion, we had estimated $462,000.
Okay, so.
So this comes in significantly under.
What's the lead time?
Yes.
Some pretty good bids that he got in.
Yes. So we worked on that to try to get a little better bid. And another thing too, this will come out of the 2017 bond as well. So
What's the lead time?
As far as what I was told by a representative, he didn't give me a specific amount of time. He just said if we were to order them now, we wouldn't have any issue getting them as far as ready for the project during the summertime if everything gets approved.
During this summer?
Well,
no,
summer-
next summer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be the following summer, but we would, of course, for sure it's about 6 months, I imagine.
Well,
6
I
months.
figured it was almost a year.
right, yeah.
Um,
Carrier told us it was probably going to be a little longer if
And-
they were able to get them here. by
When
the
did
summer.
you,
They
I know
weren't
you
sure.
said these were, original units were 2003, so they're well beyond their useful life. I mean, you guys are probably holding them together with
Yes.
bubble gum and duct tape. What about the other 4? When were those put in?
The last 4 years they've been replaced. I know one was replaced last year and the year before. That was when Tommy was around. Like every year, the last 4 years, I think we've replaced one every year.
Yeah.
So they're fairly new, maybe 5 years at the oldest.
One thing just to add also, you were talking about efficiency. Aeon units that are actually double walled. So if you think about a double pane glass like window, keeps more efficiency. Carrier is not like that. Carrier just single walled, and they do have insulation, but at the same time you're losing efficiency when you don't have that double wall on it. So
And I know, I think Aeon comes with humidity control. We're using all
Yes.
that.
yes, sir.
I don't think Carrier, I'm sure that's an upgrade.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Yes.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
What-
Getting
what-
the Cadillac of AC units
Right.
for under budget.
Right,
for sure.
under budget, and I know the Carrier units, being that they're bigger, they're gonna have to engineer some other stuff to make it work. And this Aeons is basically almost the same size and just remove and replace them. So it would be a easier process.
So the lead time you're saying is about a year, which just is amazing. What did it used to be?
You're talking about on Carrier?
Well,
Or
no, even
carrier
on Aeon
parts?
units, just a lead time in general. Like
Uh,
you're saying, it's gonna take us a year if we order it now.
Well, I mean, it could be sooner. I mean, we might even be able to get it done maybe during Christmas break or something like that. Now, once if this gets approved, I'll get on the phone with him tomorrow and I'll be able to get a little bit finished. But that's what he said, 6 to 12 months or so.
So have you seen, I'm assuming you've seen a significant increase in lead times for, like we do for the building schools? I mean, it's.
On some, I don't know what it is about Carrier, but Carrier, yes, it's ridiculous. Aon, we really haven't. It's really been, they've stayed kind of about the same.
So like say 5 years ago, what would you have thought? Or like when we ordered the other units, or pre-COVID, maybe? I'm just trying to see how it's changed.
Pre-COVID, it was probably about a year and a half.
Wow.
Texas Air, they deal with Aon. Aon has not, even during COVID, we hadn't had any issues ordering parts. Their main manufacturing plant is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is fairly close. Carriers, I believe, is like in New York. That's just, Carrier has gone up. And that's where we've had a lot of issues ordering parts, is just because once COVID hit, Carrier just kind of fell off the map, their customer service and everything else.
Yeah, they also, one of their main plants is in China, I believe, and they're struggling over there, getting parts over here. That's during COVID, that's when it really started getting worse, and they're still having a lot of issues out there.
I appreciate you getting on it now.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the thing, while we were thinking too, also summer being, if it does get approved, that's 3 units, might be able to do one here in Christmas or something, but we would like to get them all done at the same time. So that's why, being that it's 3 units, summer would be the best time to really get it done when nobody's here. So that's why we were kind of telling him to get it done maybe next summer, for him to plan to get it done next summer.
One thing to add to that, I mean, if we do it all in the summertime, do all 3, we're just having to order a crane once. If we do it multiple times, that's crane charge.
Right.
They're not cheap.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 9C as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Hawksworth, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deffenbaugh, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you all.
All right, the second line item I have here is for smart irrigation. When we added phase 2 for the high school, all the additional irrigation that was added it's all domestic. It's not attached to the well. We have 9 domestic meters that feed basically all the sporting fields and everything in the second phase. Without a smart meter system, we have had major irrigation leaks that we are not aware of until you actually see the water running or somebody tells you. The major ones that we've had have been way back here in the back. I believe there's 3 meters back here. We have had the lines bust, and we don't realize it, because there is like a little creek that goes into this drainage ditch and things of that sort. One of the times was, I believe, they were running, cross country was running, and the coach called me. We have had, that I know here, probably maybe in the last 8 to 9 months, 6 major mainline water leaks. Adding a smart irrigation system to this will help. It will alert you right away. It will shut itself off. And that right there will save money. We have definitely, I believe this thing right now, I did a lot of research and spoke with several schools about this, and I finally found this smart rain system. They will provide all the boxes for us. This is for all 9. We have 9 boxes for all 9 meters right now at this time. They will provide the boxes. Just that on its own, that's probably almost a $20,000 value that they're giving us up front. They're not charging us for that. And that right there, they're also going to add the flow sensors, which the flow sensors and the smart box work together. The flow sensor basically sends all the information to it. On top of that, with them as well, part of this includes customer service from them. They also have a monitoring system that if for some reason we miss something, they will alert us. With a smart system, we'll be able to, if I'm at home and something happens, I'm able to turn it off or turn it on or do things of that sort just off my phone. The thing, I do believe this thing right here will pay for itself easily in a year to 2 years at max on its own. Like I said, we have had some major water leaks that
Angel,
have
can I
cost
ask a
us
dumb
some
question?
pretty good
I mean,
amount of money.
How do we stop the water leaks? 6 sounds like a lot of them. Do we have a reason for why we're having so many?
Texas.
I mean,
Ground moves and all that like nowhere
Shifting
else.
ground.
you shifting ground with the dryness and things of that sort, some of that does cost it. I did talk to the contractor. As a matter of fact, we just had 4 here, over here, not too long ago, that not even having to do with this. I think it's just poor installation. I did have a conversation. It's what they call blowouts, where you got a 90 or some 2 pipes put together, and for some reason they just blow out because of the pressure or something. Either they're not glued properly. Some of the stuff too, when they do the ditches, if you got a 90, when my irrigator had told me on one of them that they basically forced it into a 45 instead of actually trenching it properly, so that way it wouldn't have any strain on it. Things of that sort. I did have a conversation with the contractor about that, and we really got to get that stuff done right. I don't know if he has maybe people that don't know how to do it properly or things of that sort, but I've been in irrigation for several years, and I don't ever remember having that many issues with it. It's just,
That's what I'm thinking.
and some of it is shifting of ground and things of
But
that
and
sort.
it's all in the high school.
Yes.
There's
The
no
high
way
school, well, the middle school it's on a well. Hilltop's on a well. Now that I think about it, even the new schools, we really haven't had any. We had one, I think, at West during the whole year.
I mean,
One
should we get
major
someone
one.
to come out here and say, hey, man, come check the whole system, the lines, the installation? I mean, that sounds pretty tedious and difficult, but
Do we have any
is it
recourse?
possible?
Do we? I'm
To
sorry.
have somebody come out here and look at the whole system?
I mean, you'd have to do it. I mean,
Trenching.
and they come and inspect it. The inspectors come and look at it and inspect it. But I mean, obviously, it's not being looked at in that close. I mean, we could do it ourselves. I mean, the irrigator that I have on staff now, that guy's real knowledgeable. That guy is really good at his job. He's very knowledgeable. I mean, I could get him to do it myself. I got a background on that too. I could get with Jeff on things of that sort. Maybe in the future, hey, let us inspect it, let us look at it ourselves and see if it's up to spec.
We have several new builds coming.
Yes,
But
yes.
also, I was gonna say, Jeff, should we be proactive on the new builds to include a smart rain system?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. We are
Okay.
doing that to make sure we carry that going forward on any new campuses. And then as far as inspection is the best way to catch this. So, just whenever Angel and his team can get by there while the install's going on, it's going to be the best way. As far as any recourse, you mentioned that. There's really very little we can do at this point. It's been too long. And then you get into the whole, did the ground shift? Did it not shift? Was it workmanship? It's going to be hard to say with certainty. But yes, I'm sure there are bad joints that got installed and, it all gets covered up. That's the problem. So until it blows out, we're not looking for it.
It just
So
sounds like
the
we
best
had a-
prevention is just periodic inspections
it just
during
sounds
the
like we had
install.
a bad install here on phase 2.
On some of it, for sure. And there's a high pressure in Flower Mountain. It's actually quite high right here. I think we're running over 100 pounds of pressure out here, which is very high. So that may have something to do with it, especially if they get a joint that's not quite 100%. Over time, that could wear that out.
Some of it too does come due to winter, because irrigation's 8 to 6 inches in the ground. And some of those do crack when we get freezes and things of that sort. And then when, spring comes around, we start turning it back on. It might be fragile already from that, and then all of a sudden it just bursts. So, I mean, weather does have something to do with it as well. It's not only them, There's a lot of other things that factor into it as well. And the thing about it being that we just, we got all this acreage we got to cover, only have one irrigator, and like I said, the guy's great. He does his job. But when you got one guy here and he's working somewhere else and things of that sort, and you got this much land here, I think one of the coaches, Coach Rogers, called me about one that, also that he saw a lot of water running and things of that sort. So it's just, This right here, smart irrigation system, will definitely make our job easier. And the biggest thing, I think it will definitely pay for itself. It would save the district a lot of money in the long run.
So on each of these, say, new schools that we're building, you only need one of these systems per campus?
Yes.
Per-
These, they go per box, like, let's say South has, I believe, 4 boxes.
Okay.
Here, we got 9. I mean, there's still 4 other boxes, but they're on the well. That's not as bad right now because it is a well. It's not domestic water. If something does happen to happen, at least we're not going to get a, $20,000 water bill because it's not,
So
it's
you're
still the same use.
essentially talking like $8,000 a box,
Uh,
give or take?
Yeah, give or take, there is a yearly charge. It would be, and that has to do with their self-service. It is self-service, and they keep all the information in the cloud. And like I said, they do have a monitoring system. It will cost us and that's included $73,000. But every year we would have to pay a $7,000 fee, continuing fee for that. And every smart system has that. This is actually the cheapest one that I found. If you look at it monthly wise, you're looking at $88 per box, and that's 9 boxes. So that's really not bad. I mean, when you add it up, 12 months times, it comes out to be $795 a month for those. And
So good.
So just so I'm clear.
yes, sir.
It's 73 grand installed, drive out, and then starting is the first year of that 7 grand maintenance, monitoring, all that's included?
Yes, sir.
In year
Yes.
1, year 2 is when it comes?
Year 2, we would start paying the $7,100 after the year 2.
And so it's 7,100 based on the fact that it's 9 boxes.
Yes,
So it's less than $1,000 a box. a year.
yes. It's actually, 88. I think it comes out to be like $88 per box per month.
Oh, per month.
So
Okay.
yes. So
Okay.
So that would come out of your regular budget?
yes.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 9D as presented.
So moved.
Dr. McDade, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Artho, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Garcia.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
He's back.
Back. So tonight, I've got a recommendation for a general contractor for the fire lane at 6th Grade Center. The background, most of you know, but the fire marshal came along during construction and said, you need to have a all-weather fire lane around here. And we currently just had a gravel road. It's been that way as long as I've been here. So we put this project together, designed it, put it out for bid. We received 4 bids. No, I didn't do page 2. So we had 4 bids that came in on this project. Our lowest bid is this one that we're recommending at $1,235,000. Our next 3 bids were all over $1,004,000, but it was very tight grouping of those. But this is a general contractor that's been around in business a long time. They're from San Antonio. I've checked references. Due to the nature of the project, everything he does will be inspected. We'll have our testing lab. We'll be inspecting all the compaction on the dirt work, the lime stabilization, make sure it's at the right percentage. All the concrete will be tested for strength. So there'll be so many eyes on here that this doesn't make me nervous. But this company's been in business since 1992. They're based in San Antonio. So they're trying to grow into this market. But they've come out of K-12, higher ed, municipal projects. Great recommendations from Trophy Club. And a small town in Tarrant County, I don't remember the name of it, but a local town nonetheless. Very, very highly recommended. So this motion will be to approve CGC General Contractors for $1,235,000 for the fire lane project. This does include a contingency, so if we encounter anything along the way, we've got some contingency money in the project too, so that we won't have to come back to you for everything should we encounter anything. And we probably will encounter a little bit, but I don't really anticipate much.
And just, we've asked for a variance and, or
No.
we didn't ask for a variance to get out of this, or?
Well, we've had the discussions, there's not gonna be a variance that we get out of the fire lane by Denton County ESD 1.
And the reason that I ask is because, I mean, we're not changing the footprint of that building.
Correct,
We're not putting more people in that building.
that's correct.
And that building has functioned that way since 1960.
Mhm,
Or
it has.
Whatever, and so, and then they come out there and they go, hey, you need to put a $1.2 million fire lane around it.
Yes, and unfortunately, the fire code gives them quite a bit of latitude to look at a situation and say, you need to do this, you need to add a smoke detector, you need to add a sprinkler head over here, you need to add an exit sign over here. Fire lane's a pretty big one. I can't say that I've had that happen before.
And so this wasn't in our original budget.
This was not in the original budget.
Because we've functioned at that location with that many students and
Correct.
decades.
What's triggered this is the fact that we've done the renovation. So when you start doing over a certain percentage, and I don't think the code actually says 30% or anything like that, but when you start getting more extensive, then that's when they say, well, you're gonna bring this up to code. So if I'd gone in there and remodeled 2 offices, he probably wouldn't have said this. But since it was the entire hallway, that's what drove this.
I mean, we're gonna get into this problem. I mean, that building was our oldest building, right? And so to your point, it's been used the same way. You don't have to change the footprint. Those facility standard codes, there's even TEA facility standard codes that if you touch that building, there are certain things you have to bring up to code, period.
Even storm shelters.
Yep. So
Yeah, thankfully it's not in Flower
there
Mound.
could be more. there could be others. is all I'm getting
There'd be
at.
more things added.
Yes, well, I mean, and thankfully that is the oldest campus. Everything else is
Should
modern.
be pretty close to code.
So as far as code-wise, we comply very well, and, hopefully we're not going to encounter anything like this ever again. This is definitely a major addition to the project.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Cohen? I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 90 as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Hawksworth, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Deffenbaugh with the
I hate
second.
spending money.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. The time is 8:17 p.m. We are adjourned.